Hey Creagears, and welcome to the first video of the Custom Amiibo Month for this year. This year, Muna and I wanted to celebrate the Custom Amiibo Month a month earlier than normal because we have a special theme for this year. Muna, I wanted to tell that! Yes sir. Like I said, this year we're making a collection of Salmon Run themed amiibos to celebrate not only the Custom Amiibo Month, but also Splatoon. So, enough talking, let's get started. First up, the stinger. For this we start with some clay. At first we're making a Salmonid for on top of the tower. With this I first made the body. Then I rolled up two little balls, one for a biological eye and one for a mechanical eye, which I cut in half. Next I made two little triangles for the fins, which will hold on to the can. And I cut in some gills and we're putting it on a stick for easier painting. And we're done. Next we can start on some construction work. First was the ink spout for the Salmonid. For the end I cut a bamboo skewer to size, but for the connecting piece I cut some coffee sticks to size and made it into a pentagon with some super glue.
Why you with me?
And I used a piece of paper to cap off one end, and I used some 2mm foam to make the little rage on top. After these were assembled, I used the same 2mm foam to make the back fins to finish up the Salmonid. To start with the tower, I drilled a hole into a wooden dowel to make a base for the can that the Salmonid will sit in. The ends of which I cover with a bit of 2mm foam. Next I used a slightly thicker piece of dowel to make three 2cm cylinders. These I cover with 5mm, 2mm and 0mm foam. So nothing. Although the 5mm was just a bit too much, so I opted to use 2 layers of 2mm foam instead. And we're already starting to see the tower being formed. But that's not all the detail I have. We also add a little square to the seam and use some metal wire to make the spring that these cake pans have, which they need to represent. And these are also glued on with some super glue. Next we can make the pants which start the tower. For these I used a special model making foam, but these can easily just be made out of the same clay you make the Salmonid. But for the foam I used some 120 grit sandpaper to curve the bottom of the pants, and after this I grabbed some 800 grit to smooth out the surface. And to finish off the pants, I cut 2mm foam to make the edge on top. And snipped and formed some metal wire to make the handles. And did this again for the middle band. But the biggest pen starts off the same, with the 120 grit and 800 grit sandpaper. But it has a very thin edge on top, so I wanted to try to make this first with some hot glue. But this didn't work. Hey! So, I glued a plate of foam to the top and cut this very close to the edge to make the same decoration. For the final piece I made a plate with the largest size dowel again and drilled 4 holes into the side. In these I will glue 4 of these legs to make the burner that is on the bottom of the stack. Later on we also add a small piece and a circle of foam to make the burner cap. We also have already used some of the epoxy clay to make a flame for the burner.
Sure.
This is going to be a very tall amiibo. But now we can start painting. Starting by giving almost everything a black base coat. Exceptions to these are the base of the nozzle, the eyes, and the fin of the little salmonids. So now for the real paint job. We start with some silver for the biggest pan, the can of the Salmonid, and the cake pans, and the burner cap. In different stages to prevent them from sticking and messing up the cutting board. More. Next I use some olive green mixed with a white for the base of the nozzle, and I use some silver for the end. Following this, I use a natural green for the back fins of the Salmonid, and make a mix of natural green and dark green for the ink color of the Salmonid. After a bit, I mix a black with some brown and a touch of olive green and a sprinkle of blue to create what I like to call Salmonid grey. And this I use on the body. And some silver on the back of the mechanical eye. After this I mix a white with a skin tone to create this wetted paper for the labels of the can and the burner tank. And a layer of skin tone with yellow to make the biological eye color.
You're ready.
Then finally, for the rest of the pants, we add the gold and copper color. These will be more pronounced as they get more layers. Yeah, I forgot to add a little top ridge on the cake pans, so these I add with some white 2mm foam. After these were added, I paint some faded red over both of the weathered paper labels. And for some more weathering, we add black to the bottom of the biggest pan, but with the transition from the bottom to the side, I use a dry brushing technique to add the soot from the flame. Finally, we add a mix of dark and olive green to the burner. And the blue to the flame. And finish the cake pans, we add a pesto green.
Sure.
And a pesto red to the ridges. Then some pupils to the biological and mechanical eyes with some red. And some skin tone to the belly for some extra detail. And that will finish the painting. Now to finish the project with the assembly. First we add the tank and the flame to the burner. Then we start stacking. First with the burner to the amiibo base, the silver pan to the burner, then the 3 cake pans on top of those, from red to blue and finishing with green. Then we add the Salmonid to the can and glue that on top. And with that, the Salmon Run Stinger Amiibo is finally complete. Hey Creagears, Robert here and thanks for watching the video. We all hope you enjoyed the video and are looking forward to the next episode in this year's Custom Amiibo Month. You might even be able to guess which boss will be the next amiibo to be made. So leave your guesses in the comments. So, we will see you in the next episode. Keep those Creagears turning and see you in the next video.